Hello friends, welcome to part 2 of my 2022 knitting roundup. If you already watched part 1, welcome back, and let's dive in. Quick accessory demo. This is the only bag I've ever knitted, I think, and it's the EDDA Bag by Paulastrickt or Suzanne Müller. You can put yarn in this, fruit, whatever you'd like. I would not put anything super heavy like books or things like that because I don't think it's made to sustain a lot of weight, but like I've used this a couple of times as a project bag, so I would put my project in it, and I think for like lightweight things is a great accessory. It is so weird to be recording in like a camisole and like a summer bag or market bag in the winter time. This is my Leafinity top by Melanie, Reinert, and I think there's a more popular version of this camisole which is open in the middle with buttons, but I made the one that is meant to be knitted in the round because that's the person I am. I would rather do like in the round than an open cardigan that involves a lot of purling, so this was an obvious choice for me. I made it, I think, a little bit longer than the pattern called for. I think the pattern is meant to be quite cropped, maybe something like this, but I hate cropped things. I don't know why actually. I'm always scared about like being cold in this area. Anyway, so I made it quite a lot longer, and this allows me to either tuck it in or wear it outside, and the yarn is Drops Muscat, which is quite a thick cotton yarn. So this is a lace pattern, which I actually found quite difficult to follow. I don't know, maybe because I don't love knitting lace, and so it was like a little bit of an effort for me. I would have to have the chart there and like to follow exactly what the chart said. For me, this one was actually like looking at the chart 100% of the time. I couldn't memorize it or couldn't really guess it. I think the look though, it's quite pretty. I wore this with jeans, shorts, and I think it looked quite cute. Please meet my camisole number 4 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. The yarn is the same yarn I used for the Cumulus top, the one that I don't even care about sharing the name because it's very crochet appropriate and not knitting appropriate in the slightest. Very like thin and cuts your fingers while knitting on it. However, I think the final kind of garment looks very good. I love this color. The color is actually what attracted to me to this specific yarn at my local yarn store, and I mean I stand by that decision honestly because I think it reminds me of summer and the sun and having fun. I actually knit a size up or a couple of sizes up because my gauge was quite different. I had way more stitches per inch or per 4 inches compared to the recommended ones because I was using such a thin yarn that didn't bloom or anything after washing, and so I wanted to keep like the fabric quite dense and covering. And so I just knitted a size up or a couple of sizes up, and I think for these types of tops that's very doable. You do the triangles at the front and at the back, and when you have a good circumference you then start knitting straight. So I think they're very forgiving if you want to adjust the sizing. So it worked well for me. I think I achieved a good circumference. It's quite like flowy and not constricting. You can have a big lunch here and it's still fine. The stitch, I think it's called broken rib. You have rounds of stockinette alternating to rounds of ribbing one by one, so you have a little bit of a break stockinette like knitting in the round, which I love, and you have a little bit of ribbing, so purling and knitting in the same row. But what can you do? It looks very pretty to me. I definitely want to make another one in a different yarn, maybe like a softer yarn, something from Knitting for Olive, but I'll see what I can do in 2023. This is the CECILE top by Paulastrickt, also known as Suzanne Muller. And it kind of looks like a dupe for the pattern from My Favorite Things knitwear. It's one of their camisoles. However, I think this actually came out first, like before the My Favorite Things pattern. The yarn is, I think, I guess it's my absolute favorite cotton yarn that I found, and it's Sandnesgarn Mandarin Petite, and it feels so soft while knitting on it. Wearing it's like pretty soft, but it's not a deal breaker for me. Even if a fabric feels like stiffer, I think it's okay. However, like the experience of knitting was like amazing. And with cotton yarns, I didn't have like a super pleasant experience up until to that point, because I found like the cotton thread quite like stiff and not enjoyable on my fingers. However, this time around, Sandnesgarn came to save me. Yes, what I'm saying is that I do recommend the Mandarin Petite from Sandnesgarn for your cotton needs. This is, as you can tell, like a ribbed camisole. It has some purling, as you can tell, so not my absolutely favorite knitting experience. I don't love the color I picked because I think it's quite close to my skin tone, especially during the summer when I'm a bit more tan. I think there's not enough contrast with my skin tone. So if I were to go back and make this again, I would probably pick a different color. One thing that I really like about this pattern is that it has two different heights. What I'm actually doing right now is I'm wearing the camisole front to back, like opposite of what it's intended. So this should be the back. So the back should be a little bit higher and the front more revealing and more of a lower neckline. However, I don't love it in that way because it shows a little bit of my sports bra, which is usually what I'm wearing. I'll show you right now, but so this is how I usually like to wear it. It's a bit like higher in the front. Let me turn it around just to show you how it should look. Ta-da! Lovely. The sports bra is definitely not the correct bra that you should wear with this camisole. I think it looked good in like when I was wearing a swimsuit or like a better, more discreet bra. However, this is my day-to-day bra, and so this doesn't work very well, I think. So what I usually do is I wear it with the intended back as my front, and I think it works very well. You might disagree. Let me know. I present to you, I think, my absolute favorite summer knit of 2022, the Peacock Tee. This is a pattern by Lene Holme Samsoe. The designer is also called leKnit, and I knitted this as part of a knit along that I co-hosted with IC from Orsa Knits earlier in 2022, and we had a few people joining us on Instagram, and a good amount of them actually knit the Peacock Tee, and I think everyone loved it. I think it's so flattering, it's so comfortable. The yarn that I chose also plays a big part in why I like it so much. This is Sandnesgarn Lene, which is my favorite summer yarn. I have another couple of things in the same yarn, and all of them are as lovely as this. This has twisted rib everywhere, so at the bottom of the sleeves, at the bottom of the body, and everywhere. What did I not mention? At the neckline. And I think it goes very well with lace patterns. So I think one thing I've learned in 2022 is if there's lace, do a twisted rib. So the colorway that I used is actually the same one that it's shown in the official pattern pictures that you'll see on Ravelry. So it looks amazing in the pictures. And I think it looks amazing on me too, if I do say so myself. However, before ordering the yarn, I was like, is blue a good choice? Because I wear jeans 100% of the times in the winter time. So I wasn't sure if this shirt would look good paired with jeans, because it would be like a blue situation. But then I realized that in the summer I have a good amount of options for non-jeans shorts to wear. I have beige, green, a lot of other colors. So I was like, okay, I'll find a pair of shorts that works well. I'm glad I went ahead because this is my most worn shirt. I would love to knit another one, honestly, and I think I will in the summer. This is my Soho top by Caidree. This was a test knit for me and it was so much fun. I remember being part of the Instagram group with the other testers, and I think it was summertime, so everyone was taking like finished object pictures at the beach, or like, I don't know, showing them knitting while also enjoying life. And I have very good memories attached to this test knit. The yarn that I used is again the Sundance Garn Lene. Very drapey, very soft, very enjoyable, lightweight, and yeah, it is a thicker yarn. It is a worsted weight yarn, I believe, so it is a good alternative if you want a summer yarn but don't want to knit with a very like thin strand of fingering, which will take you long to finish a garment in. So this is a good alternative for the summer. So still being lightweight and breathable, but like a thicker strand of yarn so that knitting goes faster. One thing here that I wish I had done is I wish I had followed the suggested length for the body of this camisole or this top. I usually just like knit for longer for every of my garments because I feel like some of the patterns go for a more cropped style, which I do not like usually. However, I think for this one, it just feels a little bit of a tunic. It doesn't have shaping, right? So it's just like a tube. I feel like I have to tuck it in to have a good looking finished look, which is okay, but just I could have just knit the body shorter and it would have given me the same result. The other thing is that the armholes, I don't know how to show you in a flattering way. This is not it probably, but the armholes are quite roomy. So I think this is a camisole or a top that goes well with like a swimsuit or like a bralette underneath. I think my sports bra doesn't cut it, so you can see it. I actually have a sports bra that matches this color, so I was able to wear my sports bra with this top because they had the same color, but this is not the one I'm wearing right now. This was a very enjoyable knit. Again, I mentioned the test knit group chat. It was a highlight. Good. If you've seen something similar to this in this video before, it's because you've seen this pattern already. This is the Cumulus Tee by PetiteKnit. This time I chose Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, so better suited for the warmer months. For the one that you saw before, I chosen cotton merino, so it was like a little bit warmer as a garment. This one is in Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, so much more lightweight and flowy. Still a bit too heavy as a fabric for July and August here in Italy. You want to go for like a sleeveless camisole or sleeveless top to survive the heat. But this is still like a good one for the nighttime or those colder days. I didn't do modifications to this, so it looks very similar to the previous one. I would recommend this pattern. I have one that I started in 2022, which I haven't finished because in the winter time, which is the current season I'm in while filming this video, I much prefer knitting with wool. And so I have one of my needles that it's pure silk, but it doesn't appeal to me. So I'll finish it before summer 2023. What I'm trying to say is that I intend to have a few more of these in my wardrobe because they're just like a staple. Very comfortable, easy to knit, is just in the round, go, 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 enjoy yourself. This is my favorite summer sweater that I have. I mean, it's the only one that I knitted in my life, but I have other cotton sweaters in my wardrobe that I bought from stores. But this one, the one I knit myself, is my favorite one. I think it fits me very well. It's a dropped shoulder construction, which leaves a lot of room here, so very breathable. It has twisted rib, which is my favorite looking rib, but also my least favorite rib to knit, but that's a different story. And the sweater features a lot of eyelets, like an all over eyelet pattern, which I find quite interesting to look at. It was also quite like easy to knit. These are knit together and yarn overs, alternating to create the eyelets. So it's not like a challenging or too difficult lace pattern. I truly love it. This is one of my favorites, together with the Peacock Tee. They're both in Sandnesgarn Lene, so maybe that has something to do with how much I like this garment. The pattern is definitely one that I recommend. Hopefully you're seeing these shorts. Maybe I can jump. I'll try to just like do this, so be on my toes. Hopefully you can see some of these shorts. These are the Hemingway shorts by Lara. I love these shorts. I wear them a lot in the summertime. They have an I-cord tie, but I also put an elastic within the waistline. The waistline is in the pattern, everything is explained. The I-cord tie was added by me, inspired by one of the projects that I'd seen on Instagram. And they're very comfortable. They're quite like fitted to your booty. This is in Drops Bell, which is actually the same exact composition as the Sandnesgarn Lene, which I truly loved throughout the summer of 2022. However, this yarn, the Drops one, is stiffer to knit with, so slightly less enjoyable. So I would still pick the Sandnesgarn Lene over the Drops Bell. However, Drops Bell is much cheaper, so I might use this in the future as well. We are quickly approaching the end of the second pile, and this is my favorite winter sweater that I knit this year. This is the Dad's Sweater pattern by Emily Curtis, and she's Gently Chaotic Knits. This was a test knit for her. The yarn I used is Knitting for Olive Merino plus the soft silk mohair. The colorway I actually remember by memory because it is stunning, and it's the colorway Rust. The softness is unmatched. This year I've tried a few mohairs, but this Knitting for Olive one is the softest. The fit of the sweater is comfortable. It is inspired by Emily's dad's sweaters that he used to wear over the years and still wears, and so it has a little bit of a masculine fit. Very relaxed here in the shoulder area, very comfortable, not constricting at all. And I recently discovered that I skipped a few increases. So actually this circumference, which I truly love and it fits me great, I think it's actually a little bit smaller than the intended one from the designer. So I still really love it, but I guess what I'm saying is like I messed up a little bit. The ribbing is regular ribbing, so not twisted. I think it would look good in a twisted rib, but it does have a folded collar, which was my first folded collar that I've done, and I quite like the look of it. I think the color adds to the beauty of the pattern, and I think it's stunning. Since I love it, I'll keep it on while trying a few accessories. This is scarf number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. The yarn was gifted to me in a big order that I made online, and it's a silky lace yarn and it's extremely soft. And when I've touched it, I've realized that it would have been great for like a neck accessory, and also they sent me one ball of yarn only, and so what can you do if not a tiny scarf? I went and knit up until I had no yarn left. So I think this is a little bit bigger than the intended size that the pattern describes, but I don't think it matters too much. Being a scarf, there's no actual like fixed sizing that you should follow. I've not used this as much or at all really. I was thinking about gifting it to my mom for Christmas, but I might gift it to her for her birthday, which is in February. She doesn't watch my videos, I don't think, so I can say that. It is a pretty simple garter and lace pattern. The lace is knit two together and yarn overs, so your standard eyelet pattern. However, I found that every time I had a stitch count that didn't really match the pattern, so I had to fudge it a little bit. Like I did like knit 3 togethers, or I don't know, do a knit instead of a knit 2 together, and like I had to fudge it a little bit. Not an issue because I don't think you can tell at all, and the sizing also wasn't important, so feel free to fudge knit 2 togethers and yarn overs and things like that. Okay, we're done with the teeny tiny accessory. Now on to a huge one. It is a wrap that I self-drafted. Is that the word? I was about to say this is a wrap that I designed, but I'm no designer. This is a self-drafted, I guess, wrap, in the sense that I didn't follow a specific pattern. I just did garter stitch until I was happy with the dimensions. The yarn is super soft. This is 100% alpaca, and it drops Puna in this beautiful beigey color. So I did the vast majority of this wrap in the dark bedroom while my daughter was falling asleep. I mean, the cast on and cast off I did in the light, so I couldn't do those in the dark, honestly, but like the rest of the pattern, since this is simple garter stitch, so knit every row back and forth, I was able to do this in the dark, and it kept my hands busy while waiting for her to fall asleep, which is sometimes not the quickest process, and so at least I was able to kind of relax and do my knitting at the same time. I use this as a wrap around my shoulders while I work at my computer. That keeps me quite warm. I've used this a couple of times in the form of a scarf. I want to say sexy, but how can you be sexy with a scarf? I guess a pretty like sophisticated look. It is very oversized, good like muted color, so I think it kind of adds a little something to your outfit. Drum roll please. For the last thing that I finished in 2022, this is the Monday sweater by PetiteKnit, and the yarn is the softest yarn I've experienced throughout 2022. Knitting was a pleasure, like the actual act of knitting with this yarn was a pleasure, and the finished object also feels quite soft. And this yarn is an Italian yarn called Nocciole, and it's by Lewolle. I would 100% recommend it. They have beautiful colors. There's an electric blue that I need to get my hands on. It's sold out every time that I take a look at the website. The Monday sweater by PetiteKnit is quite similar to the No Frills sweater, if I can say that, in the sense that both of them are raglan patterns. However, the Monday sweater has a folded collar, and it has a little bit of a more pronounced raglan line here. I didn't have enough yarn to do like a very, very long ribbing. However, the pattern does call for quite a chunky, like maybe double the size of what I've done at the cuff. So you have also like a different look. I guess it's not like a deal breaker for me. I'm happy with the length that I was able to achieve. I had to re-knit this one. I had to frog a good chunk and re-knit it again because the sizing for some reason came up very, very wide on me. And the some reason is maybe like my gauge was also a little bit off, but I think also the pattern is quite oversized. So it's meant to give you a very, very roomy and oversized sweater. So I think for raglans, what I've learned and what I will do in the future is just like try on whatever I have up until to that point and see, okay, would this be wide enough to be comfortable for me? If so, split for the sleeve, and that's it. So I guess now I don't feel the need anymore to follow the pattern to a T in terms of the stitch count at the body, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I'm a person who loves actually to follow a pattern to a T. So this time around it was kind of a little bit of a letdown to experience the fact that the pattern was giving me something that was not what I wanted. I had not read the amount of positive ease that was embedded in the pattern, and I think I wasn't looking for that oversizedness. So this is good for me. I might put elastic in the folded collar. I haven't done so yet. We'll see how it wears. That's it. People, we made it. You made it, I made it. Boom. I now have the pleasure to go through my knits and put them away. I guess it's always good to feel my knits and, I don't know, touch them. So I'm not complaining, but it is a lot of knits to fold. So I'll take a little bit of a break and come back and deal with this. Thank you for sticking with me throughout this video. This is the first year that I was able to do a roundup of all my knits, and I hope to make a similar one next year and just see how my style has evolved and color choices have changed, how many things I've tried. I would like to try some color work, so hopefully next year you'll see a couple of color work pieces as well. We'll see. Thank you again for sticking with me. I know this was a long one. Bye, friends.